You are sitting in the driver's seat of a car you bought 14 months ago. It is 7:30 on a Wednesday morning, the engine is running, the payment notification from your bank just arrived, $847 this month. Same as last month, same as the 34 months before that. You do the math in your head. You owe $38,000 on a vehicle that a used car lot down the street has listed for $26,000. You have not missed a single payment. You have done everything right. And somehow, right now, you are $12,000 poorer than the day you signed. This is not a bad luck story. This is just the American car market in 2026. Welcome. My name is Jay. I spent an uncomfortable amount of time reading Federal Reserve debt reports, Kelley Blue Book transaction data, and New York Fed consumer credit filings, because someone had to, and apparently that someone is me. If you've ever stared at your car loan statement and felt like the math doesn't add up, you're not crazy. The math genuinely doesn't add up, and I'm going to show you exactly why. According to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, Americans now owe $1.67 trillion in auto loan debt. That number is not a typo. $1.67 trillion. The second largest debt category in the country, sitting right behind mortgages, ahead of student loans. And unlike a mortgage, which is secured by something that at least occasionally goes up in value, an auto loan is secured by something that starts losing value the moment you drive it off the lot. That is not a metaphor. According to Kelley Blue Book, the average new vehicle loses roughly 20% of its purchase price in the first year of ownership. By year 5, it has surrendered 55 to 60% of what you paid. On a $50,000 vehicle, which is now the average transaction price for a new car in the United States, a milestone crossed for the first time in history in September 2025, that means you are losing approximately $10,000 in value in the first 12 months alone. $10,000 gone. Not from a bad investment, not from recklessness, just from owning a car for a year.
That is $833 a month in pure evaporation, on top of your loan payment, on top of your insurance, on top of your gas. Economists politely call this depreciation. What it actually is, money you paid and will never see again, moving quietly out of your net worth every single month. And nobody at the dealership mentions this number. Funny how that works. The bubble they told you wasn't a bubble. Here's what happened, in sequence so you can see exactly where things broke. Between 2020 and 2022, a semiconductor shortage choked global automotive supply chains. Factories could not build cars fast enough. Inventory evaporated. Scarce supply sustained demand. New car prices launched. The average transaction price for a new vehicle climbed from roughly $42,000 in late 2020 to nearly $47,500 by the end of 2021, a 13% jump in 12 months. Used cars got even stranger. In 2021, used vehicle prices increased 37% year over year. You could, and people actually did, buy a car, drive it for 6 months, and sell it for more than you paid. Economists called it unprecedented. Dealers called it market conditions. Everyone else called it a sign that something had gone badly wrong with reality. Here's what nobody said loudly enough. When an asset class disconnects from its fundamental value this dramatically, it does not gently float back down. It corrects, eventually, in one direction. The correction came. But here's the part that should make you pause. It did not come for new cars. As of the end of 2025, the average new vehicle transaction price stood at $50,326, according to Cox Automotive's Kelley Blue Book data. A new all-time record. New car prices have increased 22% since 2019, per the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The pandemic shock did not reverse, it institutionalized. Automakers, having discovered that American buyers would pay $50,000 for a vehicle when there was no alternative, made a quiet decision. This is now the price floor. There's a name for what happened here: Call it the anchoring shift. It is the mechanism by which a temporary crisis becomes a permanent price level, because the party who benefits from the higher price also controls the supply. Automakers did not lower prices once chips were available again. They kept inventory tighter, shifted their product mix toward trucks and luxury SUVs where margins are thickest, and let the new anchor stick. Someone decided that a $50,000 average price point, which they accidentally discovered during a chip shortage, was actually fine. That happened in boardrooms with spreadsheets, and it was not an accident. Now, enter the financing layer. This is the part I want you to pay close attention to because it is where the math starts getting genuinely strange. According to the New York Fed's Q4 2025 Household Debt and Credit Report, Americans carry $1.67 trillion in auto loan debt, and this figure has grown 56.7% in the last decade alone. In 10 years, the country added over $600 billion in car debt, more than $500 billion of additional obligation in a single asset class that loses value by design. The average new car buyer borrowed $43,582 in Q4 2025 per Experian. Average loan term, 68.9 months, nearly 6 years. To translate that into human time, if you sign a car loan today, you will still be making payments in late 2031. By then, your vehicle will be worth somewhere between 35 and 45% of what you paid for it. You will spend 6 years paying for something that has already been mostly destroyed by time. And yeah, I know that sounds dramatic, but stick with the numbers here because they are the actual numbers. This is not how the dealership frames it. The dealership gives you a monthly payment, $767 a month. Sounds manageable. Sounds like something that fits in a budget. What it does not show you is the total cost, $43,582 in principal, plus interest, plus the $27,000 in value the car will quietly lose while you are paying it down. And this matters more than most people realize. According to Edmunds data, 20.3% of new car buyers in Q4 2025 committed to monthly payments exceeding $1,000. 1 in 5, not 1 in 50, 1 in 5 American new car buyers in the last quarter of 2025 took on a monthly car payment that would have covered rent in most American cities a generation ago. There is a name for this. Call it the payment illusion. It is the specific practice of presenting the cost of a purchase in monthly terms rather than total terms, so that $55,000 feels like $767. It works extraordinarily well. Every finance manager in every dealership knows this. You can walk in knowing this, and the framing still pulls at you. That is how effective it is. The solution is simple. Before you sign anything, calculate the total cost, principal plus total interest over the full loan term, and then subtract what the car will be worth at the end. That number, not the monthly payment, is what you are actually deciding. Here is where the bubble meets its breaking point. And this is the part of the video I most want you to actually hear. According to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York's November 2025 analysis, the auto loan delinquency rate reached 3.88% in Q3 2025. I verified this number twice because it sounded wrong. It is not wrong. That is the highest level in 15 years, higher than anything recorded since the year following the Great Recession. And this figure excludes severely derogatory loans, accounts that have already been charged off entirely. The real picture of Americans struggling with car payments is worse than the headline figure shows. The Washington Post reported in October 2025 that nearly 1 in 4 car owners owe more on their vehicle than it is currently worth. 1 in 4. The average upside-down balance, $7,000. If you are in that group, and statistically a lot of people watching this are, I want to be specific about something. This is not the result of reckless behavior. This is the mathematical outcome of buying a depreciating asset at a record high price with a 6-year loan. You could follow every rule, make every payment on time, do everything the responsible thing, and still find yourself here. You are not bad with money. You were sold a loan structure that was designed to keep you paying longer than the asset is worth. Those are different things. What drove the delinquencies? The Federal Reserve's own economists identified the primary factor in their 2024 analysis. It is loan size, not interest rates. When prices reached $50,000, buyers needed to borrow more. Lenders approved those larger loans because, and this is the part worth knowing, auto loan underwriting, unlike mortgage underwriting, has no federal income verification requirement. Lenders are not required to confirm you can afford the loan before giving it to you. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is a structural gap in consumer lending regulation, one that benefits lenders in the short term and leaves borrowers exposed. The delinquencies are the downstream math. Here is the current moment, and this is actually important if you are thinking about buying or selling in the next 6 months. Used car prices are falling sharply. According to Bureau of Labor and Statistics CPI data for March 2026, used car and truck prices dropped 3.2% year over year. Industry data shows used vehicle prices have fallen 7.3% since January 1st of this year alone. This matters enormously for the 1 in 4 people who are underwater. When you owe $38,000 on a car that is now worth $26,000 and need to sell, your options narrow fast. You can pay the $12,000 gap out of pocket. Most Americans do not have $12,000 sitting liquid. You can roll the negative equity into your next loan, which means you start your next car with $12,000 of debt before you have driven a single mile. Or you can stop paying. A meaningful number of people are choosing the third option. Auto loan delinquencies are at a 15-year high. Lenders denied 15.2% of auto loan applications in October 2025, per the New York Fed, double the rejection rate from just 4 months earlier. Credit is tightening exactly when more people need it. There is a name for the underlying dynamic. Call it the equity drain. It is the condition where the asset you borrowed against loses value faster than your payments reduce the principal, creating a gap that widens rather than closes over the life of the loan. It is not bad luck. It is what happens when a 6-year loan is attached to an asset with a 4-year useful financial life, and nobody in the transaction is required to point that out. The good news, and there is good news here, is that if you are not yet in a loan and are considering one, you are entering the market at a better moment than buyers had in 2022 or 2023. The equity drain is avoidable. The payment illusion is avoidable. Knowing their names is the first step. There is one more development worth knowing about, because it affects the people who can least afford the problem. Every automaker in the United States has ended production of every vehicle priced under $20,000. Not most of them, every single one. Mitsubishi canceled the Mirage in late 2024. Nissan manufactured almost none of the base Versa, technically listed below $20,000, because profit margins at that price point were too thin. According to Kelley Blue Book's February 2026 analysis, there may not be a single genuinely new vehicle available in America for under $20,000. This is not the free market being efficient. This is a coordinated exit from the lower end of the American income distribution as a customer base. And the downstream effect is simple. Buyers priced out of new cars flood the used market, which keeps used prices elevated above where they would otherwise settle, which hits hardest the people who most needed the cheaper option in the first place. Someone decided that building a $18,000 car was not worth the margin. That decision cascades through the entire market, and it was made without a single vote, a single regulation, or a single Announcement.
If you're buying a used car in 2026, the timing is actually working in your favor for the first time in a few years. Prices are down 7.3% since January. An estimated 400,000 additional off-lease vehicles are entering the market this year, per Cox Automotive, as the leases from 2023's recovery volume start maturing. More supply means better negotiating position. Before you sit down with the finance manager, secure a rate from a credit union or your own bank first. The dealership's finance department, per an Iowa Law Review study on automotive revenue, now makes more money from financing than from the cars. The person walking you through the loan paperwork has a financial interest in the outcome of that conversation. Go in with your own number. If you're currently underwater, the decision depends on your gap. If you are less than $5,000 negative and the car runs, stay in it. Make payments. Do not roll negative equity into a new loan. That resets the problem at a higher starting balance. If your gap is large and the payment is genuinely unmanageable, talk to a fee-only financial advisor before doing anything. Options exist that the dealership will not proactively offer you. If you're considering a new vehicle, I am not going to tell you not to buy one. Cars are not a purely financial decision, but run the full 5-year number. A $767 monthly payment on a 69-month loan on a car that loses 55% of its value in 5 years is not a $767 decision. It is a $55,000 plus decision with approximately $27,500 in built-in loss. Know that number before you walk in. Make the decision with that number, not the monthly figure. Here's what the next 5 years looks like for two people who are both 32, both earn $65,000, and both have a paid-off car today. Person 1 reads this video and does nothing with it. In 2 years, they trade up to a new truck, $58,000, 72-month loan, $900 a month. In 5 years, they owe $38,000 on a vehicle worth $24,000. Net automotive position, negative $14,000. They are starting year 6, still in a hole created in year 2. Person 2 keeps the paid-off car for 3 more years. They redirect $767 a month, what they would have been paying, into a high-yield savings account at 4.5%. After 36 months, that is $27,600. They buy a 3-year-old certified pre-owned vehicle for $22,000 in cash. No loan, no interest, no payment illusion, no equity drain, no anchoring shift working against them. Net position after the purchase, positive $5,600 in savings, plus a reliable car with 0 monthly payment. The gap between those two outcomes after 5 years is not income, not intelligence, not luck. It is one decision, whether to buy at the price the industry set or to wait and buy at the price the market corrects to. What does your situation look like right now? Are you underwater, actively shopping, or just trying to hold on until this market settles? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one.